Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. We continue with football. Game week 5 of the Jamaica Premier League ended on Monday with Mount Pleasant and Portmore United playing out a 0-0 draw at the Stadium East Field in St Andrew. In the earlier match on the day, Chapeltown Maroons registered their first ever win in Jamaica's top flight after they got the better of Waterhouse 1-0, also at the Stadium East Field. Let's take a look at the highlights.
Take a look at the full-time highlights here. Parchment inside the area, getting some assistance from Howell, and Morrison with an effort that was gobbled up by Kemar Foster. Morrison would be even more instrumental, getting some assistance from Howell, and Morrison with an effort that was gobbled up by Kemar Foster. Morrison would be even more instrumental in the game as he would provide the assist. Parchment started it off, played it inside to Morrison, lovely first touch and an emphatic finish. That's how they opened their account this season, with some wonderful football. And Rakeem Brown with the finish in the first half. Smiles all around, but they had to do some defending, and Waterhouse came close. Well, not with that attempt. That should have been better from Devroy Gray. Wonderful ball inside from Ramon Howell, but Gray couldn't find the target. They continued to come close. Bradford's effort was gobbled up by Kemar Brown, and then this from Damian Binns, striking the woodwork and back into play. Powerfully struck, really, and the keeper was beaten there, was never going to get across. And Howell again inside, and the header off the bar. Again they were close, Waterhouse, and then this was almost an own goal from Parchment, trying to clear. And then in the second half, more opportunities. That was such a bad clearance, but the finish should have been better from St. Hilton. And that's all she wrote for this game.
Lance, Chapeltown Maroons getting their first goal, first clean sheet, first win. This will do them a world of good, especially considering that they are going on a break now and will have the opportunity to integrate their young players currently participating in the schoolboy competitions.
Yeah, no expectation of the JPL resuming until the week before Christmas, so the schoolboy season will be ended by then. So a lot of the quality players from Clarendon College will be joining up with the Chapeltown Maroons, but they couldn't have asked for a better result here. But the flip side is you wonder what's happening with Waterhouse.
Well, I asked the producer for JPL as to what happened to, because I clearly remember, I mean, I'm in studio, so I don't get to go to as much matches as I would like to because they're happening when we're live.
Yes.
But I can clearly remember that last season, Lance, Waterhouse was always at the top of the table or second on the table.
Not last season alone, the season before and the season before that as well.
Right, so I asked him today in the meeting, the zone planning meeting, what is happening to Waterhouse?
Well, they have gone 3 consecutive games now without even scoring a goal. Far more, winning a match. So, looking at those highlights though, you did see that they were offensively prominent in the game. They kept pressing, but they just aren't getting the goals. Now, Waterhouse are clearly having a problem with finding finishers at the moment, and that has been a part of their game that has been solid in previous years. So I think that is the thing that Coach Marcel Gale will have to fix. He's got to find a way to get some players pumping the ball into the goal, because even the highlights just then showed you that they hit the post, I think, about 3 or 4 times, and they constantly put pressure on the opposing defense line. So they've got to start scoring, Waterhouse, but Chapeltown Maroons got a good result. Like Falkland the day before, getting their first positive result in a match, although Falkland didn't win the match, but they scored 2 goals and avoided defeat for the first time this season. So I think Chapeltown Maroons showed yesterday when they were stout and showed a lot of heart in defending all match and preventing Waterhouse from scoring, that they have enough quality to present themselves as a force in the Premier League in this their first season.
Yeah, you know, the break will definitely do them very well, all teams involved, because you get the opportunity to improve and, of course, make changes where you need to. A question on my mind, do you think Marcel Gale will return as Waterhouse coach after this break?
Yes, I think so. I'm not sure what's happening in the office, but, you know, having lost 3 consecutive games and coming off a season the previous year that was hugely disappointing, I think Coach Marcel Gale is under some pressure. But it's a 22-game regular season and they've just gone 4 games now. So I would think from that standpoint there is still time for him to recover. So let's see what happens in going into December with Waterhouse, because I don't think they're at a stage where they should actually panic. But there are some very worrying signs in Waterhouse, and if the coach has to take responsibility or blame for what is happening, then maybe his job could be on the line.
I like saying Theodore Tapper Whitmore. Let's talk about Tappers. Mount Pleasant drawing with Portmore. Portmore on 4 straight draws so far. They can't seem to get across that line to get the win. What did you make of that 0-0 performance?
Well, I didn't see all of the game, but I saw a lot of the second half, and I was very disappointed with Mount Pleasant's use of the ball. They gave the ball up a lot, well, far too easily as far as I was concerned. Misplaced passes and just not stringing passes together, which is not something that I'm accustomed to seeing from a Tapper Whitmore coach team. So Mount Pleasant, to me, were very disappointing last night. Having said that, Portmore on the rebound are trying to rebuild, you know, coming off a couple of disappointing seasons for a team that has, you know, the tag of being the most successful team in the Jamaica Premier League. But it was a good competitive game, but I thought disappointing. You know,
yeah.
too many turnovers, and the players, both teams, are just guilty of giving the ball away far too often. And at this level, you don't want to see that.
What worries me about Portmore is they get to the point where they can make the draw. But, you know, I wonder what Coach Philip Williams can do to this Portmore setup to boost them, to push them, to just get those goals and get across the line. Yeah.
One of the things that the coaches, well, some of them, because they are straddling different jobs. Philip Williams was coaching the Portmore team last night, and within hours he is now preparing the St Andrew technical team to tackle Kingston College in a Manning Cup semi-final. So and he has the Champions Cup on Saturday as well. So I just wonder, when these coaches are straddling 2 jobs, how much either job is affected by the fact that they've got to split their time. So with the schoolboy football season getting ready to end, I would think that coaches like Philip Williams will have 100% focus on Portmore. And I think he has done well so far, because Portmore are coming off a bad season last year, and although they haven't won any games so far this season, they haven't lost either. And I'm seeing in Portmore a team that is looking to steady themselves. I think that's the best way to put it. Portmore is steadying itself at the moment under Philip Williams, and I see this team improving as the season goes on.
All right, well, these are the full results from match day 5. Let's take a look at those results. All right, Malines United beating Bay United 1-0. Harbourview a 1-0 win over Humble Lion. Montego Bay United 2-1 over Arnott Gardens. A 2-all draw between Falkland and Tivoli Gardens. Cavalier overcoming Dunbeholden 2-1. Chapelton Maroons, the team that we spoke about a lot at the bottom of the table, they got their first win of the season, beating Waterhouse 1-0. And no goals in that draw between Mount Pleasant and Portmore United. So after 5 match weeks, this is how the table looks. Harbourview at the top of the table, having played 4 matches on 10 points. Montego Bay United in second on 10 points. Cavalier in third, and Arnott Gardens, they round out the top 4. Then we take a look now at Vare United at the bottom of the table, Lance and Falkland. So Chapelton Maroons, we spoke about them, they've moved out of that spot, relegation zone. and they are ahead of the pack now.
Yeah, well, as I said, there's still a lot of football left to be played, so they'll be happy that they have at least eased off the top of the bottom of the relegation spots, but just 1 point above that. So I don't think they'll be comfortable. I just think that they will be encouraged by the fact that they got a result that most people didn't expect them to get last night, and the season is there ahead of them to improve.
Yeah, at the top of the table, I pointed out two teams, Montego Bay United and Harbourview, both on 10 points, just goal difference separating Harbourview from Montego Bay United. Do you expect this to continue, or do you think one of the teams will separate themselves by a large margin as the game goes on?
I'm not thinking so. Based on what I've seen so far this season, the teams look pretty close. I know Ludlow Bernard, the coach of the Harbourview team, is confident that his team, having won the championship last year, is a more confident unit now. And I see Harbourview continuing to be hovering at the top. And I am anxious to see what Montego Bay United will do, because they have enjoyed a complete reversal almost, having been the worst team in the league last year, and now early season, albeit sharing the top of the table with Harbourview with an unbeaten record with Donovan Ducky's guidance. So Montego Bay United is a team I'm going to watch very closely. Nevon Turner hit a scorching winner on a rebound. It was a half volley to win that match against Arnett Gardens over the weekend, and that was a very, very satisfying result for Montego Bay United.
Yeah, what's for sure now, the JPL goes on a 1-month break for the World Cup. I'm expecting a lot of the players to get a lot of rest, our producers here as well. And for the first game, we're expecting to see them coming out looking extremely rested and getting a lot of goals. We take a break and come right back.